So once you got all the holes drilled out in the diff and the cradle, what you got to do is double check and make sure that you have clearance for your bolts. So I had to clearance some there, on the other side a little bit, so that the Allen part could be flush against the metal. And when you reassemble it, you want the Allen key side on the inside middle of the diff, and that will mean that the nuts go on the outside. The bolts are also labeled rear and front. The rear ones are longer. Two important tips when drilling out the diff and the bushings in the back. One, use cutting oil to keep the drill bit maximum lifetime because it will dull during the course of this. Two, when drilling, do not put the drill on this mode where it will not restrict the torque. If you do that and you have it on the drill mode and it gets stuck in those threads, it will twist your wrist and it will hurt. Instead, put it on one of these numbers so it cuts off power once it hits something. So when it comes time to drilling out these bushings, to widen them up, to put the bolt through, what you're going to have to do is loosen these subframe connectors and totally remove these ones. I've just got a jack with the block of wood supporting it for now, but what that does is it allows the front of the subframe to droop down so you can go and drill in without hitting this. See how much droop I get. So first I got these two guys in and put a bolt just to hold it in place, and it's just a matter of finessing this back and forth. I actually used a block of wood in the back here to raise it up so that they could all be level at the same time. And once you get them all lined up right, you should be able to see right through them and pop that bolt in there. Then it's a matter of coming through the back to put in the pucks with the metal ring inside and the washer in the back, and then you torque them to 160 foot-pounds with a dab of blue Loctite. I've been having a hell of a time getting these front diff inserts placed because there's not much wiggle room. So what I did was I dropped the front cradle, left the back loose so it's kind of drooping down. I spoke to Kelly at Kelltrac and he said, one, use some lithium grease or some silicone grease. Two, drop the subframe. Three, get some leverage in there to help push this in. But what I found worked the best is the diameter of that bushing sleeve, we'll call it, where you see that bolt poking out, is 66 millimeters, and the diameter of the BMR diff bushing inserts is actually 67 millimeters. So that's part of the reason why it's so tough to put them in there. And my solution is just putting it in a vise and clearancing it down with a rasp on a Dremel. I'm focusing a little bit more on clearancing this top area down versus here because this is where it actually pushes in and this is the part that's sticking out. This is what the bushing diff insert looks like after I clearanced it. It kind of caves in towards the front right here, so it should be easier to push in. Clearly there's not enough space or threads to get the washer and the nut on top. So what you're going to have to do is get a pry bar, get it up in there, put some leverage to push that guy in. Another thing you can try is putting some clamps, pushing the washer down in the back over here. You may find that your back of your bolt starts backing out as you're pushing this in, so you have to get a rubber mallet and hit it as it's coming out. If you're struggling to torque down the front or rear diff bolts to 160 foot-pounds or 129 depending on what system you're doing, it's gonna be a little bit tricky to do with the standard size impact socket. You're gonna hit this, so the easiest way to do it is a stubby 24 millimeter here, and you can drop down the rear subframe by removing this bolt and keeping these attached, and that allows this to droop down a little bit. And if you have the big Bertha bolts, you're going to have to hold these bolts in place, and you're going to need a 12 millimeter Allen socket to do that, so you can get the right torque values from either side as long as you're holding one flat. For the front diffs, you're probably going to have to use an adjustable wrench to hold this one in place while you torque from this side.